How you feeling?
Good. Yeah, thanks for asking.
You had an interesting theory on the radio yesterday about why the offense starts slow. Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mentioned that I think our DNA as a team, the makeup of our team, we have a lot of guys who are very comfortable when their back is against the wall, when they're in adverse situations, and when they have to come from behind. And I think that's why we've shown the propensity to do well in those situations. And I think that might have something to do with why we start slow, but then once we get into those situations, we come roaring back. I don't know what the fix is. I don't know if that is the case. It's just my personal observation.
Are you playing Sunday?
Sorry, say that again.
Play Sunday?
That is the plan.
Could you trick yourself into thinking that it's the second half when you go out for the first half and you guys are down 17-3?
I mean, anything's possible, right? Yeah.
What are your thoughts kind of about the aftermath or the discussion about what happened across the league on Sunday?
What specifically?
What you've heard from people, how you've seen kind of the reaction that people have had, and what effect the statements from the players have had.
I think it's been a great impact, obviously. We're going to continue to talk about it. It's going to be a nonstop conversation, and that's the point, is to continue a dialogue and to force people to listen to voices that don't have the platform that we do, that players do, and to continue to push for love, compassion, and empathy, and encourage growth. Yeah.
Your coach said he felt a sense in the locker room that it went from time to make a statement to time to make a difference. Do you sense that also, and how do you go, how realistic is it that that transition can happen sooner than later?
Well, it's difficult because there's a lot of emotion tied into it. So I do agree with him in that, there was a time for statement, and there could still be time for statement, but there's also time for moving forward and finding some resolutions. And I think that's what we're all aiming for, is finding resolutions, finding the next stop, the next step, and really just advancing our society. That's the whole point, is continuing to grow. So I think he was spot on there.
How much did the president's comments sidetrack the whole issue yet again, away from what your original intent is?
Yeah, it did. It really did. But I think, again, I know all of y'all probably read my personal statement on the matter, but the reason why I thought it would be a unifying opportunity is because you had individuals speaking specifically to injustice and equality, but then now you have somebody saying that I don't want to hear your protest, I don't want to hear your grievances, which is the First Amendment right. If an American can't air their grievances to the republic for which it stands, then where can they air their grievances? And when you have the president of our country basically saying, I don't want to hear your protest, I don't want to hear your grievances, then I think that's where we have the challenge. And I think all of you can understand that as well when he has attacked the media in the past. So I think that's why I thought it was more of a unifying effort. And I thought, yeah, he did detract from the actual point, inequality and injustice. But at the same time, I think it's giving us an opportunity to unify.
Doug asked Richard this earlier. I'll ask you. Washington State coach Mike Leach talked yesterday about protests, said he endorsed the idea of protests in general. The country was built on this. But when it came to the NFL protest, he thought just saying brutality and inequality, he thought that was a little broad. He said, the Boston Tea Party, they wanted the tea tax, rescinded specifically. Do you think there's anything to that, like that the issue is too broad and not specific enough to see what specifically you want changed?
No, I don't think he's done his research. If he would love, I would love to invite him to come up to Seattle Seahawks headquarters and come down and have a conversation with me, and we can go through the number of cases and details and information. I'll give you a tidbit. Tamir Rice, right? 12-year-old kid shot and killed. I'm I've been preaching since day one, empathy, right? And so first and foremost, I can understand the outrage of the parents. You know, when I was 12 years old, I was running around in my neighborhood playing cops and robbers with my friends. We had toy guns. You know, I was riding on bikes with toy guns. If somebody called and the police and said there's a kid running around or a young male riding around in my neighborhood and it looks like he has a gun, and the police respond to it, you know, that's an escalated situation already. You know, and as a 12-year-old kid and you in that situation, what do? You know, you don't really know. And I recently watched a video, and again, speaking to Mike Leach here, I recently watched a video of the police officers in their post interviews, and you know, they're devastated by it. You know, one of the officers was crying. He said that he saw this little kid and he saw the eyes rolling back in his head, barely breathing. Like, that's incredible. You know, I can't imagine being in that situation. Now, do I blame the officer? No, because, you know, he was put in a situation, you know, where I would hope that he was doing his best judgment, giving his best judgment, working in a situation with his best judgment. But it's still sad for the family, you know? And so, you know, to Mike Leach, you know, what do? You say, oh, well, that's just the status quo. That's just what happens. No, I think there's a message there that things can be better. You know, I don't know what the solutions are, but things can be better. And I know that the statistics will say, oh, it's way down, it's not that many. Well, one is too many. And we may never get to zero, but why would we not try to get there? So.
Doug, Pete just mentioned he wanted to make sure everybody had a sharp focus on football for this week. How difficult was that, given the events and the meetings of Saturday and into Sunday morning? Can you see with a little time passed from the game that was difficult?
Definitely. I definitely think that emotionally it does weigh on you a little bit. I think it weighed on a lot of people in the NFL. Obviously, you know, everybody, pretty much every team responded in some fashion. So yeah, I could see, you know, the importance of making sure that we're utilizing and spending our energy in the right way. But I think it was also necessary, and I believe Pete said this as well, I believe it was necessary for us to have that conversation and not sweep it under the rug, because that was the topic that was on the forefront of everybody's minds. Everybody wanted to talk about it. We wanted to have a discussion about it, and I thought it was important that we did.
Anything else?
Thank you.